Hey everyone, this is Hybrid Theory. Welcome back to another Lorcana video. We're diving back into the Randolph Rosemont 2K CCQ from Montreal last weekend. And we're jumping back into the round of 8 here. So we've actually already casted the semifinals and finals on the channel. So make sure you go check those out if you haven't watched those yet. But don't check them out yet because you'll see who wins this matchup. So yeah, spoilers, don't do that. But yeah, so we're diving back into the round of 8 here. I think this is going to be an interesting matchup to watch for set championship season coming up because we have a purple steel mirror here, and with just the prevalence of purple steel and how good the deck is, you have to think that you're going to see, if you play purple steel, you're going to see some mirrors. So why not watch some really good pilots go through this matchup? So without further ado, if you haven't followed the channel or like the video, please do that. It helps the channel out a ton. Appreciate all your support as always. And shout out to Inkborn Heroes for streaming this on their Twitch channel. Make sure you go check them out on Twitch and YouTube as well, and all social medias. I know they just posted like a really great set championship guide going through each of the meta decks, their strengths and weaknesses, what their good matchups and bad matchups are. Super helpful, especially if you're new to the game. So make sure you go give them a follow. I'll have a link to their Twitch channel in the description below. So, anyways, all the housekeeping out of the way, we're off into this game here. So Kris was on the play on the right side of your screen, so he opened up with an Olaf, Christopher Robin into a Cheshire Cat. Grissly going second was able to play Christopher Robin for 1 because it has that text to play 1 less if you're going second. Black Heron on turn 2, and then now the Giant Cobra on turn 3. So I think he's still trying to decide whether he discards that Giant Cobra. And of course, like in a mirror matchup, no matter what, whether it's purple steel, blurple, blue green, steel song, no matter what, you are battling a resource game here, right? So he is going to decide to discard the Hades and gain the 2 lore. Chris Robin's going to quest to go to 6, and then he's going to pass it over here. And so he's trying to bait some of these resources out for Kris, right? So if Christopher Robin hits into Cheshire, or if Cheshire Cat hits into Christopher Robin, he can then swing Giant Cobra into it, right? And like start trading off these characters for Kris because Grissly has the scarier board, right? Just character-wise, not lore-wise, but with characters who just like having the strength and the willpower here. And we do see the Cheshire Cat sing Strength of Raging Fire onto that Giant Cobra, which obviously it would have done 4 damage and banished it anyway. But since Giant Cobra is an illusion, it just knocks it out no matter what. And we're going to see Christopher Robin and Olaf take out the Christopher Robin for Grissly, and now this board looks a lot worse for Grissly. He's sitting on 3 ink here. He has a strength in his hand, but he only has 1 character on the board, so like that's not very helpful. Yeah, so tough spot for him for sure. And yeah, you get the excuse. Looks like the stream might have froze up a little bit there. Okay, we're back in. But yeah, his board's in a much worse state. If he was able to keep his board from last turn, like Strength of Raging Fire hits that. He's able to hit the genie and take that out, or Cheshire Cat, depending on whichever one he decides to take out. But he's in a much better spot now. He has to play his own Cheshire Cat, but the problem with him playing his own Cheshire Cat this turn is he can't play it, right? Like he can't use the boost ability on it because he doesn't have enough ink. And that becomes a big issue here because if he did, he could trade. He could take a Cheshire Cat with the Black Karen with a boost. But since he doesn't have enough ink, like that Cheshire Cat just comes down fresh here, and there's nothing else he can do about it. We see an Olaf come down into a dock, so we're seeing the combos that the Purple Steel players love to play. So like the Olaf dock combo, so that if anything exerts for Grissly this turn, he can just hit it with the Olaf quest with dock, hit it with Olaf, bounce dock back to his hand, and just chain together more cards. All right, let's see. So Genie's going to quest to go to 2 for Kris. Yeah, and this game is it really turned around on that Strength of Raging Fire turn for Kris, and as you can see, the stream camera blacked out here for a second. Hopefully it'll get cleaned up in just a second. So apologies for that, but we can see the power of Strength of Raging Fire for Purple Steel players overall. And yeah, so we broke up here for a second. Okay, we're back in. And yeah, the strength of Strength of Raging Fire is so strong in this mirror matchup. It really swings games back and forth. And we see, what we missed here is that Grissly played his own Genie and passed it back over. So Chris's board is just getting scarier and scarier and just getting wider and wider. And of course, Purple still doesn't have a way to deal with a wide board, right? Like it's you have great one-off hits, but nothing to like really deal with a wide board except for Cheshire Cat, which is no longer on the board for Grissly. And so yeah, so Kris feels pretty confident just questing out here with the majority of his champions because, what is Grissly really going to do here, right? Like he could trade Black Karen into Calhoun. Like does that make Kris? Does that even hurt Chris's feelings if that happens? And yeah, so Grissly's in a rough spot. And again, like the Stream Raging Fire is just one of the most impressive cards I think in the game. I mean, it's a good card. Like, I'm not saying it should be banned or anything by any stretch of imagination, but it's just one of those cards that's like really been meta defining for a long time. And honestly, it was a card that I was a little surprised got reprinted. I would have expected like Let Storm Rage On instead, which I'm sure in the comments you definitely could disagree with me on that. But I was pretty shocked that Strange Raging Fire got reprinted. I feel like it's just the value for the card is just so high that it's an automatic include no matter what, right? Which is tough. But anyways, with all that being said, all that little negativity getting out, yeah, we are. Grissly's really struggling to get back in this game. He plays his Hades onto the Cheshire Cat, and Kris lets him draw 2 cards, but that's fine. Kris has got what 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, Kris has game on board, so Grissly has to do something here, right? And so Black Karen will most likely hit into, I guess, the Calhoun. Yeah, I guess the Calhoun the trade-off, and then Genie should hit Chris or Robin, which it does. Which now at this point, like, if Kris doesn't want to just quest, like, he could hit Genie into the Genie Cheshire Cat boost to take out the Genie and then, like, continue to control this board. Wow, and then he top decks an Elsa, and that feels even worse. Yeah, it's... Obviously, now he can't boost, but now he can just hit Genie Elsa into it and take out the Genie. He could just decide to quest. I think controlling here is the best option. So we're going to see Hades hit by the Elsa. Doc going to quest. We're going to see Olaf swing into the Hades to finish the job there, which allows him to bounce that dog back to his hand like we mentioned earlier. And then we're going to quest out with Cheshire Cat and Genie, and then I assume we'll quest out with Pocahontas for 6 here. 1 for the card and then 2 for the Genie. So yeah, Kris is up to 16 now. And let's see if Grissly can do anything to get out of the situation. Obviously, Genie can hit into Pocahontas, but that's still going to be 4 lore on the board for Kris to win the game. Yeah, so he is going to do that. Trade Pocahontas with Genie. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in his hand. He's got Demona, Yzma, Lexington, and Giant Cobra. Not seeing none of those options are going to be enough to get him back into this game, unfortunately. We are going to play the Demona, and he's going to toss the cards down and start scooping up, and that is game 1 for Kris. And yeah, it's just like once that Strength of Raging Fire turn came down, Grissly was just never able to recover because Kris was able to get wide and just really control the game at that point. So we'll let the players shuffle up, and obviously Grissly will get to go first in the mirror next, which should be a massive advantage for him. We'll see if Grissly can swing back game 2. We'll pop back in another ready for game number 2. All right, so ready for game number 2. Grizzly's going to start off by inking a Diablo and playing a Captain Hook here on turn 1. And Kris is going to ink his Giant Cobra and fire the cannons at Captain Hook and just reset this board down to nothing. And so, yeah, Kris, as we've seen from other matchups in this tournament so far, Kris is running Fire the Cannons in his Purple Steel deck. It really helps you control Grandmother Willows and things like that. But just a good card overall with this meta and dogs, right? Like, just there's a lot of targets out there in the meta for that Fire the Cannons. So, not bad to run it. And then we have 2 Calhouns just staring at each other. This is a Wreck-It Raft fever dream happening right now. It's just two Calhouns just like staring at each other, ready to fight. Grissly will follow up his Calhoun with just a Bear Dock. That feels tough. That tells Kris that there's another Dock in his hand. So one of the 3 cards is a Dock. We know that it's a Strength of Raging Fire, Dock, Genie, which is a really rough hand for Grissly. If he doesn't pull something inkable next turn, he's going to be in really rough shape. We see Giant Cobra come down here for Kris. Is he going to discard? He's not going to discard. He's going to pass it over. And I think that's the right call in the mirror here, is like not discarding that resource. Again, like, you know, I'm not a purple steel player by any stretch of imagination. So feel free to let me know in the comments if that's just like if that is subjective based on what your hand and whatnot. Obviously, if you have 2 docks in your hand, you can discard 1. But like, I think if you have a decent hand, like, I think you probably want to keep your resources in the mirror here. So Grissly does pull the Lexington to ink. So inks that, plays the Genie, able to pass it over at this point. And now Kris plays his own Genie after inking Christopher Robin. And again, these boards are like continuing to look just mirrors of each other, obviously with the difference between Giant Cobra and Doc, which obviously would give advantage Kris. We do have a Strength of Raging Fire in the hand for Grissly, however, though. So we could see that Sang with Genie onto the Giant Cobra most likely here. So Cheshire Cat comes down. We could also just snipe the Genie. We are going to decide to snipe the Genie. So now Grissly's winning the evasive wars, which obviously is a big part of this matchup as well. Any sort of purple mirror matchup or any sort of purple matchup at all, whether it's Blurple, Purple Steel, like, you know, even like Amber Amethyst, like any of these Amethyst matchups, controlling the evasive wars is so important. All right, we see the Elsa come down, and Cheshire Cat is going to get hit by the Giant Cobra. And yeah, I don't think he's going to swing. Okay, yeah, so we're not going to swing the Elsa into the Genie. Now Hades comes down, and Kris decides to just put that at the bottom of his deck. Interesting. And then we'll see Calhoun trade in the Giant Cobra, and Grissly will gain 2 lore off of that. We'll quest with the Genie to go to 4 at this point. And yeah, so Grissly's got to feel pretty good about how this game is going here. Obviously, it's not as crazy of a spot as Kris put Grissly in last game, but I'd say like he has to feel pretty good about the state of this board right now, with him owning the only evasive on the board. This Hades just staring at him. Okay, this Demona, Pocahontas. Okay. Now I'd say Grissly doesn't feel as great about it, right? He still has the only invasive on the board, which feels good, but that Demona is a scary card. It's this 4/6 with Challenger that just lets you continue to just like smack anything you want to smack, right? Grissly is going to quest with Genie because why not? There's no evasives on the board for Kris to take care of it, so he's going to go up to 6. Okay, we see a Genie come down here for Kris. Oh, and he has the strength. He has the strength. Okay, now this game is really interesting. So Kris has, I would say, the better board here, right? Now, obviously, Grissly's board is wider by 1 character, but Kris has this Demona, still is holding on to this Calhoun, has the 3/4 Genie. Like, he has a lot more weight on his board versus just quantity that Grissly has on his side of the board. So let's see So Grissly top deck the Black Heron. So he's got Black Heron and Christopher Robin. He's gonna play those. And at this point, like, does Grissly just like start turning does he just start turning cards sideways? I don't think so. Because like he could swing Captain Hook and Black Heron into Demona, which would feel kind of sad. Like, this 2-for-1 trade at this point in the game is not really what he's looking for. But that might be his only choice. Like, that Demona, the longer Demona stays on the board, like, the worse it is for Grissly. I mean, the Demona is always 2-for-1 trading anything that's on the board for Grissly, unless he top decks his strength, right? If he top decks his strength, then he's feeling okay. So he is going to pass. Kris, unfortunately for Grissly, is going to top deck into a Genie, and then into an Olaf. So yeah, the Olaf here is pretty good as well. So Olaf could bounce that Genie back now. I mean, it's not a dock, but would get another card draw potentially. So yeah, I mean, this is just going to come down to, I feel like, which player gets that strength, right? Like, if Grissly gets the strength, I mean, well, honestly, no. Like, the strength becomes less good now that the Genie's on the board. He top decks Christopher Robin, is going to play it for 2. So his board's representing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he's 4 off from being able to win right now. Chris's board, although, represents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 with the Pocahontas. So, the longer this game goes on, Kris is going to like slowly take advantage and win this game, because that genie that is able to boost for 1 every turn, every card under it, he gets another lure, which then adds value to Pocahontas, right? So if genie's questing for 3, Pocahontas then quests for 4. And of course, in this game of low resources, he pulls into the Yzma. That's pretty tough. We are going to quest with genie because, like I said, Grissly can't deal with it. So this is like the reverse what we saw earlier. And so now Kris is up to 3. So next turn, he's going to be very close to threatening to win the game. So he'll have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. He'll have 17 next turn with everything all considered, I think. Or I guess 19 because he'll get the boost genie one more time. So he's going to be 1 off from winning, according to my count here. So he might decide to quest with something else here to get to lethal, but I don't think he needs to, right? Like, I think Kris is pretty okay where this game state's at currently. I think just like obviously the inverse of that is if Grissly top decks a strength and can take out the genie, then like Kris is not really close to winning the game at all at that point. So he might decide to go and quest with the genie to get the value. He is going to quest with the genie and get the value. So quest for 3 to go to 6, which means we're going to see Pocahontas quest to go to 10. At this point, do you just quest out? Like, you quest with Demona? He does not. Okay. So Calhoun's top deck for Grissly here. Okay, so now Grissly's got to start doing some board cleanup. Like, this board has to start getting wiped out here. So Pocahontas can obviously get hit by, a lot of things on the board here for Grissly. Because now if he cleans the board up with what he can, like, Pocahontas and Genie will be gone. So next turn, Kris will be able to go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to get to 17. Obviously, depending on what he does with that Yzma, like he could activate the Yzma or quest with it. Okay, so he's doing his cleanup now. Obviously, takes out Pocahontas and the Genie, and the Genie had a Yzma and a Demona under it. And now at this point, unfortunately for Grissly, like he doesn't have, he doesn't have anything evasive to deal with Kris's Genie. So now he's just questing out. He's saying, hey, it's time to race. It's time to go. So Grissly quested out with everything on his board except for Calhoun, which put him up to 14. And so now this game's interesting for Kris, right? Because now Kris, he has to switch over from, hey, like I was the guy that was about to win this game. Now I got to actually play some defense here, which obviously he has the cards to do so. He has that Demona. He has the Calhoun. He has all kinds of value here that he can generate. And who knows what he's top decked here. He's exerting 5. So it could be a Hades or an Elsa, which, the Elsa would be a pretty tough, Grissly would feel pretty upset about that if it's an Elsa. We are going to see Calhoun swing into Christopher Robin, take no damage, and gain 2 lore to go to 12. So now he could quest up to 14, 16, 18, 19. So he'd be 1 off still. And then Grissly would be able to still win the game, right? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then the Calhoun trade there for 20. Or I guess for 21. But, yeah, so he's still got to do some more board cleanup here as Kris. But let's see what is this? If it's Elsa, we'll exert that Calhoun and can take it out. If it's Hades, he probably picks the Calhoun still, I would guess. So yeah, I think what he's probably deciding here is what he does with the Yzma this turn, because like that would depend on what he does with his other card. Demona's going to swing into Christopher Robin. Okay, that tells me that most likely that last card in his hand's not an Elsa. But, of course, he's probably going to flip this over and it's going to be an Elsa. But, like, if that was an Elsa, I would expect that Demona to swing into Calhoun. So, yeah. Yeah, this game's gotten very weird. It went from a standoff. Okay, he is going to ink the Hades. Interesting. Um, he's going to activate Yzma and draw 3 cards. Ooh, Tigger's going to bounce the Calhoun. That's a big pull. That's a big pull for Kris. That Tigger is very, very helpful. And now we might just quest out. Genie is going to go to 14. And we probably just pass it over at this point, right? Or, okay, we play out the hands, right? So we got Palace card coming down. And then it doesn't look like he can play whatever that next card is. Now the question is, do we hit Olaf into the Hades? The answer is yes. Trade those out. And so now Kris has got, what, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 on the board. So he's definitely got the game on the board currently. Grissly is going to have to take out multiple characters here. Black Heron's not going to be too much of a help. Neither is Calhoun. Is he going to be able to clean this board up enough? So you can definitely take out Calhoun and Yzma, which would then leave 1, 4, 5, 6. So no, the game, yeah, I don't think there's any way that Grissly can save himself now. So I think this is just going to be it. So there's those 2 trades off as we imagined. But yeah, there's still 6 on the board, which means Kris is just going to be able to. Oh, I don't know how to count. It's 5. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to count. I'm sorry. Woo, counting's hard. Okay. Yeah, he only had 5. Jeez Louise. Oh my gosh, he top decks this. He goes Genie into Strength, Tigger, take out Doc, and now we just quest out for 4. Okay, all right. Let's not listen. I might have a math degree, but counting's hard. Okay, it's tough out here. It's tough out here to count. Grissly, there's probably not much that can be done here. He's gonna draw, pulls into an Elsa, but yeah. Yeah, the Elsa can exert the Genie, but like he's not going to take him out. We see the fist bump, and we see the 2-0 from Kris, being able to take his first game on the play and then taking the second game on the draw. So again, just great game from Kris. Kris's purple steel build's a bit different than the normal like JDR build that we see out there. So maybe that's the one you should take the set championships. I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm sure we can have a big debate over what the best purple steel build is. But Kris is definitely likes his in the dogs and likes his into the mirror here, obviously going 2-0 against Grissly in the top 8 of the CCQ. So anyways, we have the semifinals and finals already on the channel. So you can go watch the rest of Kris's run, whether it ends in the semifinals or the finals. So make sure you go check those out on the channel. Again, shout out to Inkborn Heroes for casting this. Check them out in the description below as well. If you haven't subscribed to the channel or liked the video, again, really appreciate the support. So if you don't mind doing that, really helps the channel out a lot. And yeah, we will see you next time as we continue to cover more Lorcana as we dive into set championship season. So see you then, and good luck in your set championships.